Well, Keith Khoza speaks for the ANC and joins us now on Newsnight. A little later, we'll get a view from the bank involved in this whole affair. Mr. Khoza, good evening to you and a very warm welcome. The ANC is quoted as saying that this campaign is an act of treason. Did you say that, and do you really believe that?
Well, treason was not in our statement, but what we're saying is that the advert is sending a wrong message to the young people. If you listen to the tone of the advert and the words that are expressed there, and you take into account the objective of FNB of trying to promote dialogue, it doesn't. Because dialogue is about putting two sides and to give different views. And the selection of the kids that were going to read whatever they were presenting, it was one-sided. And it was all anti-government. And we don't think also it qualifies to be an advert. Remember, with an advert, you are promoting a brand, you're promoting an idea, you want to buy in. And if you look at that statement and say, what is it that FNB wants the public to buy in? It's all negativity against government.
Do you believe this is a deliberate strategy by FNB in this regard to attack your brand?
FNB must explain itself on this, because we don't think that it is an act of responsibility from a corporate citizen to give a one-sided story where people attack government on issues that can't even be contested. Because
and the view from the bank, and they will speak a little bit later, saying the focus of the campaign is to allow for children to have a platform to voice their opinions, to voice their views, and also to offer potentially solutions in how they believe we can in fact build a better country. Are they trying to offer something positive here? The
solutions that unfortunately seems to come across is that remove this government. Is that what FNB wants as a solution? They need to clarify that. Because that's why we're saying the exercise was...
in a democracy, Mr. Khoza, can't anyone call for the removal of the government if they feel strongly about it?
But Jeremy, you go through an exercise where you interview a number of kids, and the only stories you select are one-sided. Is that a dialogue? But also what are we saying? These are young kids that we still need to nurture and help them grow and understand. Some of these kids were not even there in 1994 for them to express an opinion that 1994 was better than now. And we think that it's something that was engineered to give a negative
engineered with what objective, Mr. Khoza?
To attack government.
Why would they do that?
FNB must explain that.
So in terms of that explanation, have you spoken to the bank, or do you plan to do so?
No, we will be speaking to the bank, as we have said in our statement, because we think it's a matter that needs urgent attention, so that we get an idea what was the objective and why the approach. The
fact that these so-called offending videos have been removed from FNB's website until this issue is resolved, does that go some way to mitigating the situation?
Well, it should be removed permanently. It's offensive. It should be removed permanently. I don't think there will be a point where we agree that those videos are a true reflection of what young people think in this country.
Why are you on a collision course as a party with business right now? Last week it was Amplatz, this week it is FNB.
Well, these are two different scenarios. Amplatz wants to take a negative decision that will impact on the economy negatively. And they do that against their own
I don't think we need to go into the Amplatz situation. Suffice it to say, it would appear that the party is on a collision course with business.
Yeah, but it goes against their own plan, their 50-year plan. This is about something initiated by the private sector, and that hits out at the government and the president and the minister and the ANC. So it's not us initiating these things. The Amplatz initiative comes from Amplatz. This comes from FNB. It's not us on a collision course. It is business that's on a collision course with us.
You make the point in the piece that we've just played a little earlier, saying that FNB isn't assisting in development. Why is it up to a private entity, a listed company, to assist in development?
Because the private sector, the government and labor are three parties that drive development in any economy. And besides, who pockets the profits in any economy? It's the private sector. And in all countries of the world, the private sector comes to the party in terms of development, because development is not government's only responsibility.
Just a final question, Mr. Khoza. This offending ad, is it going to impact on FNB's dealings with government? Is the bank going to be punished as far as the ANC is concerned?
No,
Does it
no.
need to be punished?
We haven't gone that far, Jeremy.
There has been call for punishment for Amplats, for instance, hasn't there?
No, with Amplats we have called for a discourse. We have asked the Minister, Susan Shabang, to have a meeting with the mining houses to discuss the net impact of what they're planning. So they have agreed to a meeting. That meeting was
is the government, and this is a final question, is the government, do you think, as the ruling party, going to stop doing business with FNB? Will government business come to a halt as a result of this?
No decision has been taken in that regard.
But it is something you might look at.
We haven't discussed this. We will meet with FNB.
Will it be something you discuss?
To discuss. We don't want to narrow our options. We will meet with them, discuss, and the outcome will be on how we agree at the end.
Thank you very much for joining us, Keith Khoza, here on Newsnight. He speaks for the ANC. When Newsnight continues, we'll be in conversation as we're joined by a representative from FNB.
Well, back to our focus on FNB's You Can Help campaign. I'm joined by Bernice Samuels. She's the Chief Marketing Officer for FNB. Good evening. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.
The ANC has said this ad is unfair, unpatriotic. We've just heard from Keith Khoza as well, who say that you're anti-government. Are you?
No. Our belief is that we are certainly not anti-government. Our intent in this campaign was definitely not to criticize. Our intent with the campaign was to galvanize the nation, galvanize South Africans into working together and helping each other to build a better society.
We'll talk later about whether you think that objective has in fact been reached. Keith Khoza again earlier telling eNCA, the selection of the children was one-sided, all anti-government, and it doesn't qualify to be an ad. Is that a fair criticism?
In terms of our process, we have two sides to the process. We have a survey that was conducted via a third party, an independent research house in the form of HDI Youth Marketeers, and then we have a campaign which culminated in the live broadcast of a 3-minute commercial, which is now on air as a 2-minute edit. You know, so they sit obviously within the same context, but they are fundamentally different. So what is being referred to is the survey component, the interview clips that were conducted by HDI in terms of the questions or the process in terms of asking young South Africans what their views were.
Those children that were used, were they all anti-government? Were some of them in support of government?
If you look at the context of our commercial that was broadcast on Thursday evening, we believe that that is a fundamentally positive message. What we learned through the survey was that 70% of our youth believe fundamentally in the opportunities and the future of this country. They have a.
Do you think that came through?
I do believe that has come through.
The ANC will disagree with you on that one. But your statement today, Bernice, talks about every interview being unscripted, uncensored, very much from the heart, each child speaking their own point of view.
Yes.
Was that message delivered by 17-year-old Kelly Baloy, in fact, her message?
No. That was not her message. The process saw us actually engaging with 1,300 South African children between the ages of 10 and 22. And I think what's important for us, certainly from an FNB perspective, is that we're driven by a very simple vision, which is to be a good business, building a better world. The second reality for us is that we have a fundamental belief in the power of help. Our process was to find and to be informed in terms of our campaign process.
So you put it out there and you harvested the themes that possibly came out, and that was put into the message that you delivered.
So 13,000 children contributed to creating the foundations of our campaign, which then culminated in a speech which was then delivered by Kelly Baloy. However, in terms of the process, the realities are that our young people of this country, they will inherit this country one day, and they are sharp critics. of the country as they see it. We wanted to understand their views and their opinions. And I think one of the realities for us is that they are, to a large extent, many of those interviewed born frees. So for us to get their sense, their perception, their opinions and views of their hopes, their dreams, their aspirations, and the challenges that they see was for us to provide a platform.
If you believe so strongly, Bernice, in the message and what was delivered, why did you then pull the ads?
To be honest, the allegations of treason are significant. So we were incredibly disturbed by those allegations. We were very disappointed by what we see as potentially a misinterpretation of our intent.
So you succumbed to the pressure?
We did not succumb to the pressure. What we did was we looked at the kids and took a decision in the interim to remove those messages and that raw data, as it were, those raw research clips, quite frankly, to prevent the children from any impact. Because
we've been a lot of really stringent and strident criticism from a lot of different quarters over this. The ANC Women's League a short while ago coming out demanding an apology. Do you see that in the scope of responses to this, apologizing for this ad?
You know, if you look at what we sought to do, I think our intents are honourable, our intents are true. Our commitment is, and I spoke earlier about our vision, a good business, helping to build a better world. And I suppose very, very simply, it was very much the notion of saying, you know, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask rather what you can do for your country.
But there won't be an apology, Bernice, if I understand you.
I don't believe that at this point
now.
It is necessary.